voice of the Northeast, LMFM.
What we want to do now is speak to the chair of the Accommodation Committee for Fleadh Cheoil 2018, and that is Mr. Eddie Phelan, who is in studio at the moment. Eddie, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Now, I know there's a number of things you want to cover, and one of the massive aspects, I think, of this is the accommodation part of it, because obviously people are going to be coming from far and wide and near, and they're going to need somewhere to stay. And this is not just people coming to spectate, this involves the musicians as well. So what exactly are you calling on people to do?
Well, it's been a tradition for the Fleadh that a lot of people visiting the Fleadh, whether they're taking part or whatever, would live or stay, should we say, in private rented accommodation, where the local community, when I say local, that can go as far as we need it to go, they rent out either their house or rooms in their house for the week of the Fleadh. The visitors come, they stay with them, or they stay self-catering in the houses, and it works very well for both parties in that the people coming have quite a cost-effective accommodation, and the homeowners, they either have engagement with these people who are engaged and have a long history with the Fleadh, or they've rented out their house. In either case, they make a couple of bob. But it's not just about that, it's not just about the money, it's more about community involvement. We, as a town, unfortunately, we're not as strong in tourism as we should be, and therefore we don't have vast numbers of B&Bs and hotels and all of that. So the slack needs to be taken up with the rented accommodation, and I think we have a huge volume of housing in Drogheda. In comparison to other areas, we'd have far more houses than they would have had in other areas, so we shouldn't have a difficulty in achieving what we need. It's really just because it's not the norm for people to do this, it's getting them encouraged to take part and get involved.
And one of the things, and you could be just genuinely mistaken for having this preconception, is that just because the Fleadh Cheoil happens in Drogheda, you're not just looking for houses in Drogheda, so you're looking all over the place: Lordship, Ardee, Dundalk, Navan.
Of the houses that, I mean, the process is, and we have this leaflet that we've been handing out to people, and they fill out the form, and then we make contact with them and we have a look at their house. But we've houses have been offered, as I say, in Lordship. We've 2 houses already, and we have houses in Ashbourne, we've houses in Navan. The ideal, what everybody wants, is a 4-bedroom house on West Street. So if we had 400 or 500 of them, we'd be grand. We don't. We can't. People are going to have to realise that they'll either be walking from the house to the town centre, or we'll have a park and ride. So if they're a little bit further afield, if they're a 20-30 minute drive, that's not a big problem for somebody who's travelled from the other side of the world to be involved in this process. Now,
park and ride, that is, as you say, one part of it. How many vehicles will this accommodate, or is that known at this stage? Or
it varies. A lot depends on the weekend, whether it's a weekend, whether it's during the week. We'll have, Drogheda is very lucky in that it has trains, it has buses, a number of different buses, and we'll have the road structure. So the park and ride will have accommodation for thousands of vehicles if it needs it. We're going to be a little bit different than previous Fleadhs in that, because of our location, sort of midway between Dublin and Belfast, we do expect there to be a lot of day tripping. So they would more than likely come up in their cars and park in the park and ride areas, stay here. We're hoping they'll actually come at the start of the week, because a lot of these people won't know what a Fleadh is all about, and if they come the first day, they'll come back the second and third and fourth, and for the whole week. So what we're trying to do is encourage as many people as possible. One of the very important things we have as an accommodation committee is we want the visitor who comes here to have a good experience. We want the people who are letting out their houses to have a good experience. From the history that we've heard of previous Fleadhs, that has worked, that has happened, and people have come back for the second year, and I suppose you probably know at this stage we actually have it for 2019 as well, which is brilliant. It's a great sense of confidence for the coaches have in Drogheda and our ability to deliver. But that experience for both parties should be good, should encourage people to engage again in 2019. But I suppose from my end of it, the bigger part of it is that when the people come here, they have that good experience, and they'll tell their friends, and they'll come back, and we try and get Drogheda on the tourism map that it should be on.
One final point. I know we hadn't arranged specifically to discuss this, but just to touch on it, and it is an aspect, and we've sort of touched on it with Park and Ride, but the traffic management plan, some people are a little bit nervous about, but there's no need to be, because in previous occasions, with smaller events perhaps, you've already had a testing ground. You know it's going to work. There's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, I mean I suppose the great thing here is there's a fantastic collaboration between. Start naming stakeholders, I'm going to miss somebody, but Cultus will be an important one. The business community, the voluntary community, Louth County Council, the Garda Síochána, and all of those groupings were in Ennis and saw how things worked. They saw the mistakes they made in the hope that we don't make those mistakes. So there will be a very flexible traffic management put in place by the Garda Síochána that will keep everything working right, but also ensure that businesses can remain in operation. So all of that process has been put in place. There is an event license application that's gone in, and that's available to view in Fair Street, and that shows the roads that will have limited closures, the roads will be fully closed, the pedestrian access only, all of that type of thing. But once people know what's happening and know what times are going to be available to them for getting deliveries in and all that type of thing, they can work around it, and they will work around it. It worked very well in Ennis in the second year. The first year, I think they overcooked their requirement, and they pulled back from that. And so our guys were up there, we're talking to the people who were doing it, learn from their experience, and the same thing from Sligo, etc. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great.
Okay, and for people who want to, going back to the accommodation, they want to get in touch with you, you have the leaflet there, we just showed an image of that on our Facebook live feed. They can contact people directly if they want to say, well listen, I have a room, I have accommodation.
They can. We're asking anybody who's looking for, who's going to rent out their accommodation to make contact either through the website, which is fleadhcheoil.ie, and there's an accommodation tab on that. They can pick up a copy of the leaflet in either the Lawrence Centre, Scotch Hall, the West Court, and there's a number of other locations around the town that have leaflets as well. And then they can either post it back to the address on the leaflet, drop it into the West Court, or scan an email back to us. We've given them every opportunity. So yeah, if people can get involved, engage with us, and we'll make the process as smooth and as easy as possible, and it should work.
Eddie Phelan, thank you very, very much for coming in to us. We'll have another Fleadh Cheoil update next week, just after 12 midday news.
The voice of the Northeast,